her first dose, but Dr. Sunda says she is already very relieved.
मेरे भी बच्चे हैं, घर में बुजुर्ग हैं, तो कम से कम मुझे तो खतरा नहीं होना चाहिए किसी दूसरे के लिए.
Pakistan is trying to contain a third wave of coronavirus infections, which the government warns could be the worst yet. Currently, fewer than 1 million people in Pakistan have been fully vaccinated, out of a country of 220 million. One of the reasons is misinformation circulating on social media. That has led to a low take-up of free vaccines given out by the government.
घरों में जैसे हमारे साथ लोग काम करते हैं तो उनको बड़े गलत किस्म के इंफॉर्मेशन दी गई थी कि ये 1 साल में बंदा मर जाता है.
Fake news is hampering Pakistan's COVID-19 vaccination campaign, the same way it hindered earlier inoculation drives for other illnesses. For many years, there have been conspiracy theories about vaccines against polio, a disease easily prevented by early childhood vaccinations. Many religious hardliners believe polio vaccines to be a Western plot to weaken and sterilize Muslims, and healthcare workers have been attacked. Authorities have fought back with a public awareness campaign involving the media, the security forces, as well as community and religious leaders. And earlier this year, they inoculated more than 40 million children against polio. The government is using a similar strategy to boost its COVID-19 vaccination campaign.
There is a social mobilization drive that is being conducted on the media, as well as at the grassroots level. We are reaching out to people. Whatever we have the infrastructure in the rural areas, we are also convincing them to just get their self-registered and vaccinated.
Last December, a survey found that only 1 in 3 Pakistanis wanted to get the COVID-19 vaccination. Now that number has doubled. Health officials say this is because people are seeing more deaths, hospitals filling up, and what is going on in neighboring India. More people are now willing to be vaccinated against COVID-19, but the government still has a long way to go before it can fully inoculate the country. Pakistan relies on COVAX, the global scheme to provide vaccines to poorer nations. But there have been delays in delivery of the vaccines that are given for free. The government has now allowed private labs to import and sell vaccines not yet available through the government scheme. The Russian Sputnik V vaccine went on sale last month and sold out in just 2 days, snapped up by those who could afford the price tag. It cost nearly $80 for 2 doses, the monthly salary of a security guard or a cleaner in Pakistan. Faced with the challenges of vaccinating its population, the government imposed a lockdown during the recent Eid holidays. Authorities hoped this would help curb the spread of the virus, especially while large segments of the society remain unprotected. Maya Liuto, CNA, Islamabad.
Residents in South Korea who received their first dose of COVID-19 vaccine can head outdoors without masks from July. Now, this is one of many incentives authorities have announced to encourage more people to take the jab. Other benefits from July include exemption from capacity limits at religious facilities and access to community and welfare centres for seniors with fewer restrictions. Officials also plan to lift the 8 people gathering ban for direct family members who've had their first dose. South Korea launched its public vaccination campaign in February. It wants to achieve herd immunity by November. But just 3.8% of the country's population have been inoculated so far. The country is battling an infection surge as new cases jump to a 2-week high. More than 700 cases were reported.
2 men are under investigation for a China official impersonation scam. It involved a staged kidnap of a Chinese undergraduate in Singapore. A 33-year-old Singaporean has been arrested, while a 61-year-old is assisting in investigations. But the police suspect that the duo might be victims of the scam themselves. Liang Lei with the story.
About a month ago, a 21-year-old student was contacted by people claiming to be China police officers. They said there was a police warrant against him for money laundering offences in the country.
他们又假装很好心的帮我想办法之类的，让我切断与外界的联系。主要他们用 WhatsApp 和我联系，然后不停的和我一点一点的透露信息，然后一点点的交流，不断的取得我的信任。
Acting on instructions 10 days ago, the victim checked into a hotel here along Upper Serangoon Road. A 33-year-old man gave the victim $500 and a cell phone. All this time, the victim was alone in the room. He was then told to pose in front of a video call while gagged and blindfolded. He was told this was for an X-ray, when in fact it was supposed to look like a kidnap. With the footage, the scammers added a message and sent the video to his parents in China on Thursday morning.
小子别怕啊，不会伤害你的。听好了，只要你父母啊，他把钱拿出来啊，还给我们，剩下的你就不用担心，好不好？
The ransom asked was for 1.2 million Singapore dollars. By this time, the victim, again acting on instructions, moved to a 61-year-old man's HDB flat in Clementi. There, he said he watched TV, ordered food, and played cards with the homeowner's wife. The victim's parents had already told the Singapore police they couldn't contact their son 4 days prior to receiving the scammer's message. And when they did receive it, they got in touch with the authorities here again. The victim was found within 7 hours. In fact, he was woken up from his nap by the police.
警察刚刚找到我的时候，我甚至有一点不太相信警方，然后警方就是跟我说我安全了，然后带我到警察局做了个笔录，然后就什么事也没有。
Fortunately, his parents did not pay the ransom. Police say the two men involved are unrelated. They may have been told that they were implicated in a crime themselves and needed to help out in this case. The man who passed the money to the victim earlier in the hotel allegedly received $1,000 to help stage the student's disappearance. The other man in the Clementi flat may have been led to believe that he was helping to house an important witness for a supposed police probe. The Singapore police has this message for the public.
The China Police, Interpol, and other overseas law enforcement agencies have no jurisdiction or powers to conduct operations in Singapore. They also have no powers to ask members of the public to help them with any form of investigation without the approval of the Singapore government.
The police add that people should ignore calls from those who claim they're overseas officials.
Still to come, a rare celestial phenomenon gets people looking up to the night sky. Singapore's national football team gears up for 3 World Cup qualifying matches in Riyadh.
Every time a business opens its doors, it opens up possibilities throughout Asia. And while some doors close, the will to try again never dies. There's nothing small about their commitment to Asia's future. And there's nothing small about our commitment to yours.
There was a huge manhunt for this man.
Podcast producer Rovik Roberts investigates a mysterious murder from the past.
This is a spicy case. Spicy.
To understand how Singapore turned from a city of vice.
Singapore was a Chicago of the East. Clashes and shootings were rampant.
Into one of the safest in the world.
When the killing started, holy smoke, it was a game changer.
Into the Vault 3, tonight on CNA.
What are the financial forces driving Asia's rise, from transnational business expansions and technology for digital growth to untapped opportunities in the region and beyond? Understand the trends, innovations and corporate deals that are building Asia. On Asia First, Monday mornings on CNA.
I'm getting my COVID-19 vaccine.
Breathe in, breathe out.
And documenting all my side effects.
Bam, the soreness set in.
But with cases of infection among those who are vaccinated, how protected am I?
Now what we're seeing are actually mutants, which are quite different from the original strand.
Talking Point.